Let's turn now to the UK, where Juliana Olayinka is waiting to give us today's market updates. Good afternoon, Juliana. Trust you had a great weekend. Now, let's kick off our conversation with news of Conor resignation as Trade Minister after a report found that he used his position as an MP to intimidate a member of the public. Tell us, what rules did he break?
Good afternoon, Bissy. Well, yes, as you said, Conor Burns, he's a trade minister, really close ally to Prime Minister Boris Johnson. In fact, during his Conservative Party leadership battle last summer, it was Conor Burns that actually co-managed that whole campaign, just to show how close he is to the PM. This morning, a parliamentary ethics committee found him guilty of breaching parliamentary ethics by helping out his father. His father had been having a long-running dispute with a company over the payback of a loan. And what Mr. Burns had done is he had intervened last year by writing a letter on behalf of his father using parliamentary stationery. So he headed the letter with his House of Commons parliamentary address, and the Ethics Committee said that that completely crossed the line and therefore also intimidated that company into believing the House of Commons would be intervening in the matter. So as soon as the announcement came out, he did resign from his post. So as well as no longer being a junior trade minister, he'll also be suspended from the chambers for 7 days. So pretty much an embarrassment. But of course, considering we're dealing with COVID-19, it's kind of gone under the radar in the British media today.
Well, let's talk about businesses now. They have raced to secure the bounce back loan scheme, which went live today, with Barclays seeing 200 applications in the first minute and Lloyds saying about 5,000 within 3 hours. Will these loans even be able to see these businesses through the lockdown crisis?
Well, that's the hope, Bissy, and thousands, tens of thousands of businesses are hoping that is to be the case. And as you said, it's been a pretty frenzied morning, as well as those figures that you mentioned. HSBC as well, by about 12 o'clock, they also received over 12,000 applications, and it varies. I think the typical amount that people are applying for is about £35,000. This bounce back loan scheme is really to help the benchmark of British business, which is about 99% of businesses are expected to be small to medium sized enterprises that have about 10 staff and have a turnover of less than £100,000 a year. They've really been struggling since all of this COVID-19 crisis has happened. And before that, the Business Loan Coronavirus Interruption Loan Scheme, that's quite a mouthful of a name, that had struggled, and there'd been so many critics of that scheme because it just took too long for people to get the amount of money that they were asking for, and also as well the bureaucracy. There was thousands of different people that they had to speak to, tens of pages. And this scheme is just two simple pages, 7 questions. And if you are eligible, then you get that money within 48 hours. I think for the banks, and they're the biggest stumbling block in the whole loan process, they'll be happy because the government are backing these loans by 100%. So within the first year, there's no repayment. And after that, it's the government that will be chasing people for this money if they're not able to pay the banks back. And I think that was the issue that they've had with all of the other schemes. Even if it was 20% that the banks had to guarantee, they just weren't willing to do this. So the scheme is out. Thousands upon thousands of businesses have applied, and they're hoping that this, in fact, will keep them kicking over until the COVID-19 crisis dies down.
We'll see how that goes. Now, mobile operator O2 is in talks with broadband giant Virgin Media to create one of the UK's largest entertainment and telecoms firms. Tell us more about this deal and how the markets are reacting to the news.
Well, it's still very much in the early stages. There's been no announcement of the figures or whether or not negotiations are going to go any further. But it's still quite a big story because it would make a huge rival to Sky and Comcast platforms that are in the UK. So Telefonica, they are the Spanish owner of O2. O2 is Britain's largest network. They have over 34 million customers here in the UK. They are in talks with Liberty Global. Now, Liberty Global Global are the parent company of Virgin Media, and Virgin Media have about 4.5 million customers. And what's interesting about this discussion is that Liberty Global also own part of ITV. Now, ITV Productions are a really big production company here in the UK, and some of Britain's biggest shows go underneath that umbrella. So if they were to form, it's not just about announcing a new phone network. It also would be a rival to some of the conglomerates that are owning media in the UK. So a lot of people are excited about it, but there hasn't been any further announcement other than the fact that they're just talking. But who knows, fingers crossed. The sentiment didn't really have a major impact on the FTSE, but it hasn't had much of a lift today. At intraday, the all share is down 0.41%. The FTSE 100 also down by 0.21%, and the FTSE 250, the domestic market, that's down by 1.40%. In the currencies, the pound is down on the dollar by 0.61%, also down on the euro by 0.19%, and down on the Japanese yen by 0.70%. Bissy.
Many thanks, Juliana, for this update. We'll see you again tomorrow.